Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to my final episode of the Writing and Resilience podcast for 2025. I'm Lisa Cooper Ellison, your resident transformational and trauma informed writing coach and resident story alchemist. And I am so happy to be here with you today. And I have a question for you. So, listeners, when was the last time you paused to acknowledge how far you've come? I want you to think about that for a moment because I have a confession to make. I've been in business for 10 years, and today I launched my 100th episode of the podcast, which is amazing. But I was ready to just move on with the day and continue with whatever else I was going to do. And if it wasn't for my podcast producer, shout out to Haley Hayhurst, I would have not even thought about the milestone that I had reached. But she said, Lisa, how are you going to celebrate? And so I'm celebrating with all of you by sharing the top 10 things that I have learned from 10 years in business and 100 podcast episodes. But before we get to those, I want to give you a toast because I am so grateful to all of you. And, these 10 years and these 100 podcast episodes would not have happened without your support. So, my deepest hope and wish is that by sharing the insights that I have gleaned from my time working on the podcast and in my business, that I can offer you something that gives you a little greater clarity in the purpose of your writing life as well as greater ease. So let's go ahead and dive in. Welcome to Writing and Resilience, the podcast for writers who want to write and live the story that sets them free. I'm your host, Lisa Cooper Ellison, a writer, transformational and trauma-informed coach, story alchemist, and fellow traveler on the winding road of healing and creativity. Each week, I'll share tools, practices, and conversations that will help you let go of what no longer serves you as you create stories that change lives, especially your own. Together, we'll explore how to trust your creative voice, support your mental health and resilience, work with your nervous system and unique design, and stay connected to your deepest calling as a writer, even when life gets messy. It's time, my friends, to write and live the story that sets you free. I'm honored to walk that journey alongside you, one story and one episode at a time. All right, listeners, we're going to keep this short and sweet by starting with number one. This is the first thing that I have learned, or actually, I'll say it's the most important thing to start with when it comes to thinking about my top 10. And that is the fact that we all start knowing nothing. I began my business, my writing career, and even this podcast with a hope, a dream, and absolutely no idea as to what I was doing. And if that's you right now, congratulations. You are exactly where you want to be. And I'm a little envious of you because when you're at the beginning, yes, it's hard. Yes, it can feel overwhelming and like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. But you are also at a place where infinite possibilities are available to you. The horizon is wide open. And that's part of why it can feel overwhelming, but it is an amazing place because anything is possible. And the more experience you get, the more you tend to use that experience to narrow the lane. So if you're right there, enjoy those infinite possibilities. And if you're a little farther down the road, imagine what can happen if you open yourself up to beginner's mind and reconnect with that experience, because that leads to number two. You may start not knowing anything, but the way that you're going to figure things out and get a little farther down the road is by showing up. And you do that one day at a time. And as you show up again and again and again to your writing desk or to anything else that you do, you will find that you are further down the road. And that leads to number three. As you get further and further down the road, you learn by doing. So read all the how-to books that you would like, talk to all of the experts, and by all means, follow all the influencers you like. But don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and to do the task, whatever that task is, even if you have no idea how to do it. And so to help you understand the power of just learning by doing, I'm going to talk about a famous research experiment. And in this research experiment, they gave one group of potters an assignment. They said, make the very best vase you can. Then there was another group, and they said, make as many vases as you can. Well, guess who made the very best vase? The people who had to make lots of vases. And that's because as they did that, they learned along the way and they refined their process. And that is what led to greatness. So just keep showing up and invite the possibility that you're going to learn along the way, and that will lead to your greatness. And that leads to number 4. We get better with practice, and it's all practice. There is no arrival place when it comes to podcasting, being in business, or your writing life. So let that idea of the arrival point go and just allow yourself to practice and have fun with it. And that leads to number 5. Everything is not just practice, it's an experiment. And through those experiments, you can either fail up or flounder. So, what do I mean by that? If you are failing up, that means that you accept that some experiments will flourish and others will teach you valuable lessons. And your job is simply to be available for those lessons as you also support the things that work out. And as you do that, you will continue to move forward. And if you choose not to do that, and instead, if you see these as major failures, which I'll be honest, I did at the beginning because I didn't understand that this was a skill I needed to learn, you will flounder. And if you have periods where you're floundering, I'm just going to tell you, we've all been there. It is A-OK. And at every moment, even in the middle of your deepest flounderings, you can pick yourself back up and say, I want to be really curious about what I can learn from this situation. And that's because of number 6. There's always a pivot. So nothing in the writing life, the podcasting world, or business remains the same. We may want it to. We may really enjoy the stability that comes when things are working out, but life is dynamic. Change is happening all around us, and our job is to respond to that change when it occurs. So, what can you do with that? Be present, because when you're not present and giving yourself permission to change, what can happen is that you stagnate. And when you're stagnating, growth is not available. So, how do you keep yourself available to the pivot and understanding what are the things that are really right for you? That leads to number 7, and that is to cultivate a sense of astonishment, to lean into your curiosity, and to have a willingness to be inspired. These are the ingredients that will keep you moving forward. And most importantly, they will open you up to possibilities and to what might be the best pivot for you, which leads to number 8. And number 8 is there are a lot of ways to be right. And if you listen to all of the experts, each person is going to give you their version of what right is. And they're doing that because they want to help you. But here's the most important thing. You need to figure out what works for you, even if it's something that no one else has said, and if what works for you goes against all of the best practices, because you have to own your process and you have to own your progress. And this is how you do it, which leads to number 9. And this is really counterintuitive. The world is going to tell you that all of your progress is going to come from forward momentum, taking one step and then the next and then the next, and showing up. And while showing up and taking steps forward is important, progress often happens when you take breaks and when you allow for projects to marinate. And that's because it's in that marination time that you reconnect with the infinite possibilities available to you and you figure out what is right for you. So allow for rest whenever you can, because that's what will lead to true progress. Which leads to number 10. Set your goals, keep your eyes on the horizon, but don't forget to pause every now and then to look back at all you've accomplished. The reason you want to do that is because it's not just about celebrating what you've done. It's about building the confidence to recognize, yeah, you do know how to do things. And as you connect with that sense of power, that sense of agency inside yourself, and you develop that pride in your experience, you develop the momentum that will lead you to whatever's next. And so that is going to lead to the bonus, which is what I started with to begin with. And that is the power of being grateful. You know, so much of the progress that we are looking for in our writing lives and podcasting and business is about the more. It's about the next. It's about the bigger. But when you allow yourself to stand in your gratitude, you are saying what you have is enough. You are standing in your abundance. And it's from those abundant places that you really can see what's next while also truly being able to enjoy whatever is available to you. And so, once again, I'm going to toast all of you with my berry kombucha because that's what I can drink today. Because I'm so grateful for all that you've done and for sticking with me over these 100 episodes and for all that we will do in the future after I follow my own advice and take a short break. So I am going to be taking a break over the holidays. And during that period, I'm going to share my winter break double take series of episodes that I truly love that deserve a second listen and that I know you'll get something new from if you engage with it again. And if you're new to the podcast, you may not have heard these episodes, and I want to make sure that you get a chance to listen to them. So, new episodes of the podcast will launch on January the 22nd of 2026. Until then, I want you to keep repeating the following mantra. My story matters. When I work on it, I change the world. And how do you do that? By freeing yourself of all the things that no longer serve you. And as you do that, becoming your truest and most authentic self. I wish you the absolute best over the next few weeks. May you rest. May you be astonished. And may you reconnect with the infinite field of possibilities available to you so that in 2026, you are so excited and so ready to write on. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. I couldn't do this podcast without your support. If you love this episode, here are 3 simple ways that you can keep this show thriving. 1, subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. 2, leave a 5-star review so others can find the show. 3, join my engaged dynamic community by signing up for the Writing Your Resilience newsletter. As a thank you, you'll receive a free copy of Ditch Your Inner Critic, 5 tools to transform self-doubt into self-support. Until next time, remember that your story matters. As you write and connect with the truest, most authentic version, you become not just the writer, but the person you're meant to be. And that, my friends, is the real freedom writing can offer.